Well, thank you very much for giving me the floor. Black Lives Matter. And originally I wanted to show the little video clip, "I Can't Breathe," from George Floyd, who had been killed. His last words, but it had not been just about the suffocation in terms of the physical aspect. It had been the suffocation really of a society, of humanity, in terms of you need to breathe as well as social being. And I think this is an important point, that the social construct of racism means as well the social deconstruction of society, the denial of socialization, and the dehumanization. Talking about or thinking about breathing, it is not just about the physical aspect, as I said, and Fritz Fanon pointed this out. Thus, the native discovers that his life, his breath, his beating heart are the same as those of the settler. He finds out that the settler's skin is not of any more value than a native skin's. And it must be said that this discovery shakes the world in a very necessary manner. And this is what we see today, I think, with the resistance as well against what happened. And Brie pointed out it had been this large case, but it had been, or these are the everyday's life matters where this comes up. And the reason for it is, on the one hand, this extreme as well fascist or quasi-fascist groups, for instance, in Europe, but it is as well something, this general individualism. The French king said, "L'État c'est moi." Today, some people say, "Le monde c'est moi." I am the world. And it is this equality that matters. And preparing this, I came this presentation, I came up with another linked video. Mr. Trump, standing there before his elections in 2016, saying, "I can stand in the middle of the Fifth Avenue," and he points out kind of crazy with a gun or something to the listeners, "I could stand in the middle of the Fifth Avenue and kill anybody. It wouldn't take any vote off me." I think this is shocking as well. If you look at the continuation of what he said, basically, "I'm very greedy. All the time I had been greedy, but now I want to be greedy for the country." My approach to racism, and taking it really in a very wide sense, it is the general issue of discrimination, of marking the other, is we are dealing with some form of disembedding. Disembedding, the original idea comes from Karel Polanyi, using it or utilizing it in the economic sense. He says in the 19th century there was a shift. We are only concerned with gain, with financial gain. But this is the other side of, we are not concerned with producing something we need, with producing our daily life, but we are producing this kind of alienated societal structure where it is about greed, personal greed for Mr. Trump, or personal, national greed for a country, and not about social life. And this means the suffocation of people then like Mr. George Floyd, but as well of entire groups. And this came up, this is why I'm a little bit hesitant to use the term racism. I'm currently based in Germany. I am working in China, and well, I witness this racism against me, basically. You are coming from Asia, you are coming from China, so why did you start all this disaster? It's not said literally, but it is the feeling what people give to others. But it is not only to the Asian people. it had been mentioned before, it is to any other groups that are not representing the normal of our society. There is a long story to it I would like to develop, but I won't be able to do it here. It is the establishment of work in a context of societal and natural conditions. That's what we always have to think. We are working, or we are developing this society under certain conditions, in interaction with nature. And it is something where increasingly, on the one hand, public, the social, plays a huge role, but at the same time, it is denied to access this public. We are isolated, we are individualized, we are disembedded from others, and we set our basically, and this is the very sad extreme point of it, we are defining our own laws. This is national laws and this is individual laws, and we are basically allowed to kill people. It is amazing that we witnessed during the recent time, in connection with the coronavirus, the increased sales of weapons in the United States. As you know, it is basically allowed for everybody to buy a private weapon, and there is no check and there is no balance. People can use it as they like. So I think in terms of this individualization, this disembedding, the loss of society, it is really something where many things are emphasized, are getting more obvious today. It is the burden to families, it is the burden for the discrimination against women, of race, of course, are Roma a race, and of people like myself coming from China and being somewhere in between, if you want. But it is as well something, and I come up with different keywords now. Some may be specific, some may be known to many people. It's the Tinderization, I call it. It's the casualization of relationships. There are apps, you book whatever you want, you book a partner, and you get it via internet. It is the shopification. It is shopping as a matter of existence. This identifies us. I mentioned weaponization. It's a new term, but I think it is marking this: everyone has a gun. You can have it if you want it, and you can use it. And it is Googleization in terms of the search engine that gives you every result, whatever you want, but that isolates these results from the context. And this is something where we have these populists coming in. I mentioned here a few. It's Berlusconi in Italy, the super rich media mogul, who, funnily enough, managed to get the huge support by the people, being far away from any kind of normal life. It's Beppe Grillo, another Italian, a comedian. This is what you get as politician today. And then you have the other side, it's the tyrants. It's Orban in Hungary, and it is Trump in the United States. I think it is important to emphasize really that it is not the extreme of individuals. It is not even the extremes of groups like the fascist or quasi-fascist groups you find as parties now, but it is the very basic approach of society that moves more and more into individualism, that moves more and more into the one side of enlightenment, that is the crazy rational being. And rational means here, look after yourself and the rest just don't bother. This is the danger as well with enlightenment. I think we have to emphasize this. And we have to emphasize the other side that is missing, and we have to look at ways of supporting them. It is now in global terms, and I think we have to look at it in global terms, the issue of relocalization. It had been for a long time, not least China, being the poor country delivering low-wage products to the rich West. It had been India, it had been African countries that had been exploited in this way, not only as colonies, but as well as in other ways later. It is a revaluation of recognizing there are other values than just short-term profit and consumption. And it is, I think, this is where I want to conclude with. It is the importance of the recognition, the appreciation of public goods and securitization of the responsibility that we have to look to provide publicly guaranteed the conditions that make it possible to live, to shape our own life, not as individuals, but in society. It is about health services, it is about education, it is as well about providing an environment that makes life livable together. And I think where we have the conditions, that's my experience from having lived in different countries and working in different countries, where we have the conditions to really unfold in society, you don't find racism. You only have it if you have this restrictive, unpublic, private issue of l'état, c'est moi, the world, that's me, and nothing else counts. Thank you very much.